Hello, artist. It is Tuesday, July 28th. It's our 74th day, I think, of making art together. Welcome back. Hope you're having a fantastic day. It's beautiful outside. The weather temperatures have dropped and it's really great. So I hope that you are having a good day. So, this is our Art History Week, and today we are looking at Edvard Munch's The Scream. So, Edvard Munch was a Norwegian artist. He lived from 1863 to 1944, and during his childhood and his young adult years, he really was dealing with a lot of bereavement issues and the fear that he might um, become mentally ill. Mental illness ran in his family, and he was very concerned about his mental health. And so when he was 30, he was out walking with friends, and he talks about this. He painted this painting after that walk. He talked about how he was standing on a bridge, and the friends walked by on the path. They walked ahead of him, and the anxiety that overcame him. And he said he heard the earth scream. I'm not quite sure what that meant to him, but that's how he interpreted just that anxiety he was feeling, that overwhelming sense of anxiety he was feeling that surrounded him. He did other paintings too in his life, many other paintings in his life around mental health. And so think about that. 1863 he was born, and he painted The Scream in 1893. So around 1890 he was really at the forefront of thinking about mental health and wellness and using art as therapy to really process what was going on for him in his anxiety and his emotions and his own trauma. And so, art therapy didn't come to be. Of course, there was psychotherapy and psychoanalysis much earlier than 1890, but it was in the 40s when the art therapy profession really came to be. People like Carl Jung in his psychoanalysis was using art and dream work and sand play. He was using those things, imagery, in his work with clients, but it was in really the 40s and then from the 40s to the 60s where art therapy really became a profession, a formal profession. But people were definitely using art with clients leading up to those times. And artists like Edvard Munch was doing that as well in his own work, which was really, really progressive at the time and really insightful of him. But if we think back over art history, all artists were using art to express themselves and their feelings. Not all struggled with anxiety and mental health issues like Edvard Munch and Vincent van Gogh and others, but worked Frida Kahlo herself. But many used it as a way of expressing what was going on internally in their minds and their hearts and their souls. So Edvard Munch painted The Scream. So I wanted to just give you a closer look at The Scream. I'm sure you've seen it somewhere in your life. There he is on that bridge, and behind him is a body of water, and I can't remember what the body of water is here, but it's a bay, and in the back is a sunset, and he felt like the world was kind of coming down around him. And I heard someone today, I saw a young client today, and they said, you know why his hands are like that? And I said, no, why? What's going on? You know why he's screaming like that? He said, because he put his hands in glue and he stuck them to his face. And I'm like, that would be a reason why to scream. I would scream. One time I was working on a sculpture for sculpture class in college, and it was not a successful project for me. It was foam core, cutting lots of shapes of foam core, and the glue I was using was super glue. And instead of getting the glue where it needed to go after working for hours and hours on this sculpture, I ended up gluing the bottle of glue to my fingers. And just the sheer panic of having a bottle of super glue, super glued really tightly to my fingers, scared me that I thought, I'm not going to get this off. I'm going to rip my skin. So I went to the old trick of using butter to loosen that off, and it took a long time, but butter did it. Or sometimes dish soap. A lot of dish soap in your hands can get that off. Doesn't get rid of the residue from super glue, but it definitely got that bottle off my hand. So if this character here in the Scream, had super glued or glued his hands to his face, I think he would definitely be very, very stressed. But there was something more going on for Edvard Munch that day when he was out on that walk with friends. Hopefully when we're out on a walk with friends, we don't have a panic attack and we don't become overwhelmed with grief and anxiety. But that's not what happened for him that day. So he put it into a painting, and it's probably one of the most famous paintings or recognizable paintings out there. Even in the 90s, if you are familiar with the movie Scream, which was a kind of cult following scary film of the 90s, there was a mask in it, and they really copied the idea of this elongated face and that scream. That's what the mask looks like in that movie. So today I thought we'd play around with our own renditions of the Scream. So I'm going to put that Scream aside, Munch's Scream aside, and I've done a couple of my own. So I was thinking very, very cartoon-like and thinking about what would create anxiety for me, and I was playing around with that idea. So here in the top version up here, I have made Edvard Munch's, just a real quick drawing of Edvard Munch's sketch, and in the back there are his two friends. There's that body of water and the sunset, and I wanted to be able to create that if I could, so that I could recreate that idea of the Scream in each. Now if I took this to a different level, what I would want to do is maybe draw myself or create another character that looks similar. So I thought about what could cause some anxiety. Well, for all people that's a different thing. For my husband, it's dishes and water. He's always concerned about leaky pipes or water getting in our house and dishes piling up. So I made a stack of dishes piling up. Excuse me. And the guy standing at the sink. I'm gonna grab my water. Excuse me. For me, the pandemic has caused a lot of anxiety. So I've created a germ here. Excuse me. And the guy down here again. So the Scream guy down here, something that looks like the COVID germ that I've seen often in red and looking similar to that. So I wonder what you will think about when you think about anxiety and and Scream. One thing that can cause me a lot of anxiety is if I lose my voice like I am right now in the middle of talking on Scream. So that could cause a lot of anxiety, and I'm not quite sure why I'm losing my voice at this very minute. I think I just coughed a little too hard. And just to let you know, I am not ill. I think that just sometimes when I talk a lot, sometimes it puts a tickle in my throat. So a dream I've had before, and maybe some of you have had it as well, is maybe something bad is happening in the dream, or maybe I'm being chased, but I can't scream at all. Nothing comes out. Has that ever happened to any of you? That would be terrifying to me if I needed help and tried to scream and nothing came out. And so so when I think about panic and paranoia and anxiety and just the idea that scream, just nothing. So I'm going to make a big scream here, and in it there's nothing. Nothing is coming out. So I feel like if I had to scream right now, with my voice straining like it just did, oddly, I don't know that I could scream, and that really is a scary feeling to me, to not be able to use your voice, whether it's just in standing up for what you believe in, or if it's, and I can feel my voice coming back now a bit, or if it's, you know, a bear is chasing you and you need to let out noise. You need to be able to use it. And I've been really fortunate in my life and confident in my life that I don't feel like I've been voiceless too often. And I only hope that for others, that people have that ability to find their voice and have that space in their life to find your voice and use it. And I've also lived my life to help others find their voice and to stand up for what they believe in and for themselves. So if you ever need anyone to help you find your voice, to stand up for yourself and your beliefs or your needs, what you need, or advocate, come talk to me. I'd be happy to help you along and to coach you and just to be that listening ear so that you feel heard and feel like you can use your voice in any way that you can, and that you don't have to get to that point of screaming. Okay, so if you are interested in doing Edvard Munch's The Scream, think about how you could play around with that similar idea. What would make you scream? What would make you to that point of screaming in public in front of your friends? What kind of anxiety? Maybe you're to that point like I am now with this pandemic. Like, I am ready to some days scream. Some days I'm doing just fine. But definitely something was bothering Edvard Munch, and maybe he didn't even know what it was, but he took to paint and canvas and he put those feelings into something we still look at and talk about today. And I love that he brought us that idea of it's okay to share your anxiety with the world, put it out there, and maybe it will help someone else know that they're not alone. Okay. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. I will see you back here tomorrow for more art history. And I can't think of Georgia O'Keeffe. Georgia O'Keeffe is our next artist. Then we'll have Leonardo da Vinci. And then we'll end on Friday with Gustav Klimt, one of my favorites. Okay, thank you. Have a great day. Happy art making.